part 8.2, multi-threading in servlets. This topic is related to our homework assignment number 1, question number 7. First, let's look at question 7. Every time a client request arrives, the container creates a new servlet instance. Here the keyword is instance. Pay attention to this concept to process the request. Here we need to compare two concepts. After you understanding how do we use these two concepts, then you can answer this question well. All right, so what two concepts? The first one, instance. Second, thread. All right, so instance, you know the meaning of instance, right? Object-oriented programming, right? Instance. But here, the servlet instance. Here, let me just use one simple example. So what is the servlet instance, right? Because you need to have a good understanding of the servlet instance. Then you can, get a whole picture. All right, so first, we know a servlet is just a regular Java class. Although it's a special Java class, but it has the basic properties of a Java class. So then we can create an instance, right? So here, let me use a simple example. Create a servlet instance. All right. Let me just use, some simple name here. Suppose we have a servlet called a list servlet. All right. So a Java class name called a list servlet. Then you need to have an instance reference, right? Instance reference. All right. So let me call LSS. How about that? List servlet. LSS. Okay. Just some name. But inside the container, this name usually different. So this name, there is a convention to create a name. Here for our discussion, we just use some simple name. All right, equals, then the constructor, new operator, right? Constructor of this servlet list, servlet, its constructor. So that is the standard statement we use to create a servlet instance. But this one we cannot see. In our code we cannot see. So this line is executed inside the container in a hidden way. We cannot see it, but it is executed in the container. All right? So one instance is created. All right. Then one instance corresponds to another concept called the process. Process concept. So if you have the Unix background, in Unix, what is a process? A process is defined as a running program. When a program is running, so you need to use certain amount of memory space in the main memory, right? Here, this servlet instance running inside the main memory of the server. So then that amount of memory space is occupied by this process running program, that process, okay, for that instance. All right, so that's the first part, instance background. Then the second part, let me give you a property of this servlet instance. It is possible to create more than one servlet instances in a Java web application. Yeah, so I do not write the remaining part. You know it. All right. It is possible to create more than one servlet instances in one Java application when you need it. When you need it. Yeah. How? So here you may ask how. Here we do not go too far. Here I just give you basic information. We do it in the web.xml, this configuration file. Web.xml, this configuration, how to configure a servlet. How to configure servlet. In our notes, you can see it, right? I put the configuration code in our notes. Yeah. So that is for one servlet instance. You can use that same way, the same servlet class, you can create a second servlet instance. All right? Yeah. With different servlet names. Yeah. Because each servlet instance should have a different name. Yeah. So remember, when you do it make sure with different servlet names, then you have more than one servlet instances. Then you can use for different purposes. All right? Yeah. But now the question is, most of the time, greater than 90%, 90-something percent of the time, we do not use more than one servlet instances in a Java web application. Most of the time, we do not need to use more than one. Or in more than 90% something of time, we just use only one servlet instance for that particular servlet. Only one. All right? Yeah. So then the next question. All right. So with only one servlet instance, how can you provide services to multiple users simultaneously? This is the main question, because in a typical web application, our service provider, so we do a lot of, our service provider should provide services to many concurrent users, all right? Yeah, so your single server instance can provide services concurrently for multiple users. That's the typical behavior of a servlet. Typical behavior. The question, how? The answer is simple. Use multithreading. Multithreading technique. Multithreading technique. You just know one instance can generate multiple threads. All right? Let me draw like this. Thread 1, thread 2, thread 3, thread 4. Okay? suppose user 1 sends request 1, okay, request 1, then thread 1 is generated. All right, request 1 from user 1, so that this instance, this servlet instance generates thread 1, and this thread provides service to user 1. Similarly, request 2, request 3, request 4, multiple users, multiple requests correspond to multiple threads providing services for all these users concurrently. So that's the background, what happened behind the scene, in the background of that servlet. So with that, you can see, good stuff. All right, so every time, so think about that. Read the statement question carefully. Use this background to answer. All right, every time, look at that, every time. All right, and this instance, when we use one servlet instance, it is only created once. This instance is only created once, and then this instance is used for the whole lifetime of the servlet. The whole lifetime of the servlet. All right? So then, providing services, multi-threading way. All right. So that's the basic background. All right. Second, before I finish this video, let me give you another rationale about this multi-threading way. Multi-threading way is more efficient than multi-process way. Because the old time, before the multi-threading technique was available, people used multi-process way. So what's the multi-process way? Then when a user comes in, when a user sends a request in, that a new instance is created, or an instance corresponds to a process, right? A new process is created to provide services for that user. But that's the old technology, all right? So here, let me write one more time. Old tech. So multi-process way. Multi-process way. New tech. Multi-threading. Because the new tech, multi-threading way, it consumes less memory resource than multi-process way. Multi-process way, each process, you need to, the operating system needs to create a full package for that process, beginning, end, full package, all right? So process 2, another full package, and so on. Multi-threading, all right? All the threads can share the same package resource. Same package resource, all right? So a lot of resources can be shared for the same process. So that's the reason multi-threading technique consumes much less resource than the multi-process technology. So that's the conclusion. So with this background, you can answer this question well. All right, so let me stop here.